Welcome to another edition of In the Weeds with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's number one casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to try to do some unique things on YouTube like this. We're trying something, Dusty. And you're
Okay.
you're our guinea pig. We're trying this. This is kind of, so we've got this In the Weeds video series where we do X's and O's.
Okay.
This is kind of In the Weeds interview. So
Oh boy.
the goal is to get into an in-depth football conversation with someone that knows ball. And we couldn't think of you are the perfect person to do this with. And you also happen to be on the call for the OU Tulane game this week.
It's a fact. I'm definitely on the call, so I'll be up there in the booth right next to Ted Rowe. Excited to be back in Norman, obviously, and intrigued to see what we get from this game. And I'm sure you want to talk about special teams, right? We're going to dive into we're going to dive into some field goal protection. I mean, is that what you brought me in for?
I think Sooner Nation is more interested on your thoughts about the offense. Let's just get right into it, man. What do you think? You study tape as much as anyone.
Yep.
You're always watching tape every time we're talking. Like, what do you think so far about what you've seen from OU's offense on tape this season?
Well, I mean, I think probably similar to what you guys have said. I mean, I think they've struggled. I don't want to make excuses. The injuries have not helped. You're already down to a third string center, kind of have guys in and out at right tackle. You got a guy playing left guard who should be playing left tackle. You got a left tackle playing that probably should be playing. Now, I think it's the staff's job to have competitive depth, as we've heard, to, when these things happen, to be able to have guys fill in. But just the reality is they've been playing with a lot of unknown commodities up front. So I think that group's still trying to find its way. Receiver, I mean, you start off with Jaden Gibson getting hurt, and you still haven't seen Nick Anderson on the field, and Jalil Farouk gets hurt in the opener. I mean, nobody wants to hear excuses, but these are realities. And so what have I seen? I've seen an offense that's really sputtered, that struggled. I've seen an offensive line that's not getting much movement. I've seen a run game that's been virtually non-existent. They had a couple of splash plays in the opener against Temple as the game went on, but they have not consistently been able to run the football. And to me, that's the biggest key. Like, when I really look at this, like Jackson Arnold, he can do some things better. I think that a lot of things could be better. I don't think it's just on one area. It's not just the offensive line. It's not just the quarterback. It's not just the wide receivers. I think it's a collective effort. And I think the best thing that can happen to this football team is to find a way to consistently run the ball, to take some of that pressure off your quarterback, to get a defense more on their heels, and play more honest. I mean, what I see right now, what I thought Houston did is they dared Oklahoma to somewhat throw it. They ran a lot of man outside. They were putting 7, walking that safety down, sometimes feeling like you have an 8-man box. And so if Oklahoma's in 11 personnel, you got a tight end in the core. You got 6 people. You got 5 linemen. You got a tight end. Well, they got 7 in the box, right? And they're saying, dare you, right? I dare you. I think you even when that happens, obviously in those spots, you got to be able to throw the ball. I think you still have to be able to show you can run it. And one thing that I look, they have really good coaches. Okay. Oklahoma has really good coaches. Bill Bedenbaugh, the track record is there. He knows what he's doing. Seth Luttrell, Joe John Finley, this staff, they fully know what they're doing. But as I watch more and more football around the country, one thing that I've seen, I saw it in my game last week with Oklahoma State and with Arkansas. Gap scheme runs can really help an offensive line. It can create angles. Okay. Because what I see when I watch the film, I'm sure you've talked about this, Gabe, because you and I have talked about it. So I'm sure you've talked about it on your show. But they're running this inside zone, okay, where it's a really downhill run. The running back he's not really offset. It's almost like a pistol. It really, I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that.
He's like a yard behind the quarterback and real tight to him.
Real tight. It's not moving in any way laterally. Everything's working downhill, which I like downhill running. I actually think Javonte Barnes is a good downhill runner. By the way, I've been impressed with him. I think he's been a bright spot for the Oklahoma offense, blocking, doing what he's been asked to do so far. But, when you don't get any movement, and this is kind of an inside zone, though it's not really zone steps. They've run a couple of more outside runs, outside zones that I actually thought they had decent success. Thought the best run that I saw from Barnes, it might have been, I don't know what it was, might have gone for 8 to 10. It was actually more of a true zone. I actually saw a scoop from the center. I actually saw, guys getting some movement, but this kind of bread and butter inside zone that I've seen a lot of, it's almost more base blocking, and they're hitting it downhill and they're getting stymied at the point. So when your line can't get push, can't get movement, and that defensive line's able to just kind of build a wall, and this thing's hitting downhill and you're running into a wall, there's no cutback. It makes it tough. I thought Taylor Tatum, he had one carry. I think it was a 6-yard run. They actually ran counter. And I thought I saw some space. I saw some guys, able to back block, get a little movement. And I just wonder, is that something they build off of? They've got the Q counter that they'll run backside. They've got that, that sweep that they run, whether it's in the 2-back with the running back, they fake the sweep, they'll run counter back. Or we saw it the first play of the game that everybody's irate about, the little flip play, little jet sweep to Deion Branch, which, by the way, they made an adjustment to that, and I'm sure you guys noticed it. It was that the second time around, Gavin Sawchuk took the defensive lineman that's unaccounted for. Instead of going up.
I think it was Barnes.
Was it Barnes? Okay, Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes put him
blasted
on his backside.
Yeah,
it was pretty sweet.
Big boy ball.
And then you've got Burks. I mean, you've got Deion Burks, who can absolutely fly. And it was it was a good play.
Right.
It looked like a good play.
Until they held.
Until the hold.
Until you hold. Which is another thing that, again, I don't know exactly where this in the weeds is going. So I just think that they've got to run the ball. And I think you've got to, your line is what it is. These are your guys. Bill's smarter than me. All these guys are smarter than me. They know better than I. So I feel like a moron. But as I go back to just Oklahoma State last season, they could not run the ball the first 3 games. You know what they did? They started running gap scheme stuff. That's how they got going. That's how they really took off. And I'm not saying you have to run that stuff exclusively, but maybe just a little bit of variety mixed in there. I'll be intrigued to see. Another thing, like when you look at this game in particular, Tulane, I thought Kansas State did a really nice job utilizing the backside of the backfield in the throw game. Now, and I talked about this with Teddy yesterday. They threw 2 swing screens in that game last week. Okay. I counted 3 screens that I saw in the game last week. One was out to, I believe, Andrell Anthony dropped it, though there wasn't anything there anyway. One was caught and pretty much tackled immediately because you're not blocking on the perimeter. And I think another one, they picked up a pretty decent game. It was 4 to 6 yards, somewhere in that variety. But that gets me to my next point. It's not just the offensive line that's not blocking well. It's the perimeter guys. Because at times you're not going to be able to run it in the core. Well, okay, let's try to get to the edge. Well, in doing that, tight ends got to block better. And receivers blocking on the perimeter, you have to be able to do it. And that's the part to where it's like everybody wants to focus just on the offensive line. They can play better, no doubt. But so can tight ends. So can wide receivers out there. That's how you spring a swing screen. That's how, when you get on the perimeter, they ran a little toss in this game the other day. Well, the receivers are getting beat immediately by defensive backs. And now they're coming up and forcing, and they're either making the tackle or forcing a cutback into help. So I just think it's a collection of everybody. But I mean, it's as simple as can be to me. They've got to get the running game going, whatever that may be. However they feel what serves them best to do that has to happen. And it's a collection of not just the offensive line, but it's the tight ends, it's the wide receivers, it's everybody doing a better job sustaining blocks and giving these running backs and or quarterback more of an opportunity to gain yards.
Yeah. And I think you just ties into what I was going to say. Like, there's issues everywhere. O-line, drops, blocking on the perimeter. I mean, you can go everywhere with it, but we all know the focus is going to be on the quarterback. What have you seen that you like from Jackson Arnold? What have you seen that you think needs more work? And I'll just throw it out there. We're 2 games in. We haven't seen Mike Hawkins. The offense is not hot out of the gate. Do you expect to see Hawkins either as like a change-up to try and insert maybe a little bit of explosiveness into the running game, or do you see him maybe in an honest role running a series or two without the game, being out of hand, like with the game in question?
I don't know. I have not reached out to those guys. I know those guys are grinding. They're feeling it. I don't want to bug them. I'll talk to them on Friday. I feel like when I'm in this spot, doing a game, I need to treat them no different than any other staff, and wait until the proper time to talk to them. My gut is no. My gut is no. My gut tells me you need to give all the confidence in the world to Jackson Arnold. That's what my gut tells me. Because I think the last thing you want, Ted, we've all been around guys that once that confidence goes, it's tough to get it back. And I'm not saying that's where Jackson is. I have no idea. But if you start to make a move this quick, your 3 starts in the bowl game, we can throw that out. Your 2 starts in, and all of a sudden now you're taking snaps away. I don't know what that does. I don't know. My gut tells me no, that you really want to give him this opportunity to work through this, and you want to back him and give him that confidence. What do I like? I think the first game, that throw to Jalil Farouk, how can you not love that? Pressure in your face right now, big time ball, on the money, can't throw it any better, can't do it any better. Showing that toughness to stand in there, take it on the chin. It's a big time throw. He hit Brennan Thompson on a deep over route. You can't throw any better, right? I mean, it was perfect. Like, he shows that ability to push the ball, drive the ball down the field with really good accuracy at times. I think that's what you like. And that's what the upside with Jackson Arnold is. What do I not like? I think that, I don't know. I'll be intrigued to get y'all's take, because what I see is missed opportunities left on the field. And what I don't know is he not seeing it, or is he afraid to pull the trigger? Are those 3 interceptions from the bowl game that I want to discount, easy for me to discount, not easy for him? Is he worrying about making, the wrong play? I don't know. But there's a couple plays that stand out to me. There was a couple in the first game, and then I saw a couple more this past game. One, I think it was like play 9. He misses Andrell Anthony. Andrell Anthony's got single coverage outside. There's no center field safety. And it looks like Andrell's about to run a deep post. Okay. Now, I don't know if that's miscommunication quarterback. The ball winds up outside the hash. I don't
Could have
know.
flattened him out across the field.
I think that it was
100%.
It was Thompson, but yeah, it was 15, not 5.
Who did I say?
You said Andrell, 15, not 5.
Meant Brendan Thompson.
Gotcha.
Wasn't Andrew Nathan. Sorry. My apologies. It all runs together. 15. That should be the touchdown. That should be now what I don't know again is that miscommunication. I just thought that was an opportunity miss. There was a couple of in-cutting routes that I feel like when he's going through his progressions initially, that guy's covered, but it's zone coverage. That guy's about to come into a window that's open. And if he lets it rip on time, he's going to throw this guy open, and he's not.
Just throw it to the spot. Just put it there.
Throw it to that grass. Why is he not making that throw? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And then, like, because there's a couple, like, the protection's actually good. But then as you miss that opportunity, those open guys, I think in his mind, he's got this clock. And now all of a sudden, oh, man, it's been that time. I got to move. And now you start to feel like there's trouble and there's not trouble, and there's no one open when there was someone open. So, again, all things that I'm sure that they're looking at, talking through on film. He's had 2 starts this season. My gut tells me this is just a young quarterback that is trying to figure all this out and is going to get better and better with more reps, which is why I would continue to say you got to stick with him. Now, the one thing I will say, if running the quarterback 11 times a game, which is what they've done through 2 games, if that's going to be who this offense is, a quarterback that's going to run it 10 plus times a game, that is interesting to me because, as you pointed out, I mean, Michael Hawkins is a dynamic elite runner. I think Jackson's fine as a runner. I don't think he's a bad runner, but there's a completely different dynamic with the other quarterback as a runner. I think, Jackson has a changeup and you having to respect his ability to run, that's real. But he's in there because he's got a big-time arm and he can make these big-time throws. So I don't think it's time to have a big role for Michael Hawkins, but would it shock me if Seth said, hey, we need a spark? We need some explosive plays in the run game, and this guy gives us the best chance? It wouldn't shock me, but at this point, I do worry about the confidence overall of your quarterback and doing whatever you can not to fracture that.
All right, let's talk about the OU defense and what you've seen through 2 games. But first,
all you tailgaters, listen up. We are now officially in the premium conference of college football, and you expect a premium product on the field and on the grill. That's why you need Didier Ranch's steak burgers to take your tailgate to the next level. Proudly raised in Oklahoma for over 120 years, premium beef this good is hard to come by. Go to DidierRanch.com. That's DIDIER ranch.com. Use promo code Oklahoma15 for 15% off your order. Didier Ranch, tradition plays better and tastes better.
What have you thought of the D-line so far?
I think it's been good. I like the D tackles. I think the D tackles have done a nice job. I think just the fact that they've got legit depth is really good to see. Where Grayson Halton has just done such a good job getting on edges, playing with his hands, being disruptive. Ted, you and I were at a scrimmage together. That's all. I mean, that's what he's shown. So I really like seeing that. I thought Big Dom last week does a nice job on that rush that he was able to have, getting that sack. They've just been real sturdy on the interior. I think you got to be happy with what they do. They've been doing this, and I've noticed more and more teams are doing it. And I don't know how you feel about it, Gabe, but I see a lot of interior run stunts now. It's not just Oklahoma that's doing it. I mean, when I was watching, film with Tulane, Kansas State, I saw some of those guys doing it. Especially, I think, if you're worrying about, any kind of read zone quarterback run, it's almost like you see this kind of wrap to come around from a lot of these defensive tackles to clean them up and take care of that to a certain degree. So I think they've done a good job with that. I think it's okay to say you want to see more from the edge. think I want to continue. And that was kind of something coming into the season. Want to just see more just winning pass rush situations. They've been fine. They've been fine. But I think that, to be an elite defense, I think you've got to just be able to win clean and win in true pass rush situations. I think Danny's playing really good football. I'd be intrigued to get your take on that, Ted. You obviously know that better than anybody. He's playing so fast from an instinctive standpoint. Like, he's diagnosing stuff so quickly. He's played so much ball. I think his run game diagnosis is really good, and he's playing downhill really quick. He's so good in the blitz game too. Like, he's gotten really good with his hands, timing up blitzes. There's a reason he's going to be in the conversation for the Butkus. I mean, he's that kind of linebacker. He's playing at that kind of level. I think Kip Lewis is playing fast. I think Kobe McKenzie's. I really like the hat that he brings to the table. Things there inside the box, and so overall they're good. I like the two. The two starting corners. Well, I know Woody started last week, but I think Kanai is playing good ball. I think Des Malone was a really good pickup in the offseason. Those safeties are really talented. And you and I talked about this, Ted, the underneath coverage with some of the linebackers, I think even just overall looked like their eyes got in the wrong place, some spots, and some of their zone stuff. And I think they can clean some of that up. But overall, I think the defense has been good. The takeaways are just, off the charts. Don't buy too much into what happened against Temple. Like, some of those were forced takeaways. That first one by Ethan Downs, where he comes over top and just bam. I mean, that's a takeaway. Some of that, Temple's just kind of giving the ball away. I think we'd agree there's a difference between takeaways and giveaways. You don't apologize for any of them. you love them all as a defense, but there is a difference. But I think that they look good. I think that they can look at that film against Houston and say, we can play better. We're better. We're better than this. So, but I mean, I think that we thought they were going to be a good defense, and they've looked like a good defense to this point. They're going to be tested more so this week than they have so far. Tulane's a better offense to me than Houston, and they're a much better offense than Temple. So this is going to be a good challenge for Oklahoma this week. Tulane's offensive line isn't big, but they are scrappy. I mean, they are scrappy as heck. They're going to fight. They got a running back that's got good vision. He's a good player. This quarterback, I'm sure most people that know much about Darian Minsett, he can throw it now. I mean, I was impressed with him.
Where do you think he's going to be the quarterback next year?
Yeah, that's the question.
I mean, I don't want to put
BB
that.
said that they have a great NIL program.
They better, because this dude is legit.
He can run,
and he's mobile. He's not going to turn your lights out as a runner, but he extends plays, and he can sling it.
They do a nice job too. I'm sure you guys have watched it, but Mario Williams, former Sooner, he's had a couple really nice games. The deep in cutting routes, those deep digs, really big part of this. I mean, that's one thing for me. And that's kind of that intermediate part of this defense. 10 to 14-ish yards. They love the digs. And this quarterback is accurate in there. That's going to be a real key for Oklahoma. And some of that underneath zone coverage, getting in those windows and
it's
being
all built
able
off
to,
the run. It all ties into the run really good, which, to wrap everything up, the O and D breakdowns is good. Like, this game. I mean, when we looked at it before the season, it felt like, okay, this will be a nice little 3-game run to gear up, to get ready. But now all of a sudden, this Tulane game looks a little different.
Because they're a good football team, first of all. I mean, they outplayed Kansas State for just about all that game. I mean, you don't apologize for winning. Like, Oklahoma's not going to apologize for the way in which they beat Houston. I can assure you Chris Kleinman's not apologizing for going on the road and beating Tulane. But Tulane took the fight to them now.
There's a big chunk of that game where they looked like the better team.
Even at the end of the game, it was a highly questionable call late that they score there. Who knows what happens? But that is the one thing with Mensah. He is young and experienced. And he did make a massive mistake trying to keep a play alive that had no business being alive. It led to a scoop and score touchdown for Kansas State. So I think that's one thing that, for the Oklahoma defense is they've created some turnovers. Oklahoma's got a young and experienced quarterback. So do they. But to your point, this does have a different feel, I think, than before the season started. And if you're Tulane, you look at this as we've got a great opportunity to go in here and get a huge win before we start American League play. And we've already played Kansas State, one of the best teams in the Big 12, to the very end. And now we've got a chance to go into Norman and get a victory. Who knows what that could do for us? And they want to be a team that gets one of those bids in the college football playoffs. So their head coach, John Summerall, I don't know how much y'all have talked about him. He's from the Mark Stoops tree. He coached for Mark Stoops at Kentucky. He got that job at Troy. And all he did was win 2 Sun Belt Conference championships. I mean, this dude's bona fide now. He's a big-time coach. And even though there's a lot of turnover on that roster, he's gotten in there after Willie Fritz left, and they have not taken some big step back. I mean, they are scrappy, they are tough, and I think they're going to come in with a lot of confidence into this ball game. And I don't have to tell you guys, I mean, it's a huge spot for Oklahoma. I think that before, not just to win the game, but to play well. And for them as a team collectively, I don't want to make it just about the offense, but as a team collectively to feel good, to be confident before they enter into what's going to be one of the toughest schedules, the final 9 games in all of college football.
One thing I want to hit real quick. Zach Alley calling the defense now. Venables' defense very, very well. Played in it. I've watched it a ton on tape over the last several years. Do you notice with Alley calling it, do you notice any big structural differences, anything that really stands out to you when you watch it on tape, or pretty similar, or the exact same?
I hadn't really noticed.
Okay.
Ted, have you? I mean, I don't think of anything massively wholesale changes.
Not yet. They've, the first 2 games, I think they've been pretty limited.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. What I wonder, and I don't know, how much have you tried to hold back before that Tennessee game on both sides of the ball? And now you're at a point where it's like, ain't no holding back no more.
Have they played any 3 down at all?
A couple
very
snaps.
Little.
Yeah,
very
right.
little. Not a lot.
And that was Allie's whole thing. So I don't know, but it's interesting that it just looks to both of you, it looks pretty similar to what we've seen.
Kind of what they've done early in the season, the last 2 years too, though.
Let's not hold anything back against this Tulane team, shall we?
I don't think you have the luxury to. It's a good team, man. And I was on the call the last time Tulane came to town. That was 3 years ago, and there was
a similar feel to it.
Well, that one though, going into it, that's true. That was a beatdown Central, right? I mean, that was when Spencer Rattler was top choice for the Heisman Trophy, #1 overall pick. That was a team that had, college football playoff aspirations. Not that anything changed in that regard, but that one was supposed to be just an easy gimme. I think everybody collectively around college football is pointing to this going, uh-oh.
I guess what I meant was, the way we walked out of that game is how we're walking into this one, I think.
which will be interesting. I think what's always fascinating in college football is it's just the moment everybody thinks they know, you realize how much you don't know. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that all the time happens in college football. The moment everybody collectively thinks, there's Oklahoma not going to be very good. Oh, here we go. They've got all these issues. It's all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, maybe they are a lot better. Maybe they are that team we thought before the year. So I've been
covering it a long time, and I got hook, line, and sinker week 1 with Notre Dame. It's just that's how it goes.
There you go. And so, like, and that's where I would just say, let it play out. But one thing I do think is fascinating is with you have 18 to, I guess now it's 24, 25-year-olds. Used to be 18 to 21-year-olds.
18 to grown men that can rent cars.
How do you respond to adversity, though? How do you respond to adversity? Some people wilt. Some people elevate their game and rise to the top. And that's what I just find fascinating week in, week out, covering the sport is you see teams and you see players, you see programs in these spots all the time. And I think that this game early on, to your point, Ted, I think everybody just kind of looked at this, was like, oh, these first 3 games, there'll be nothing. Tennessee, that's what we're going to find out about this team. Everyone's going to find out a lot about Oklahoma on Saturday because though they won the game, they're facing some adversity right now. This team is facing early season adversity that I don't think anybody saw coming, right? How do you respond to that? I think is going to be very indicative of who this team is and what we should expect in SEC play and moving forward. So I'm fired up and excited, man. I think it's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday, and I may need to do something about clothing because I did see it was supposed to be like 96. Boys,
you don't sweat at all, do you?
I thought it was going to be fall weather, man. Why are we getting a heat wave?
Don't
coming through.
Listen, I remember the last time when you sweated through it. It became quite the talking point on Twitter. Just embrace it, man.
That's right.
You're a big sweaty man. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Embrace the sweat.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not doing anything wrong. Sweating profusely, it's a sign of good hydration and good health.
Is it best to wear white, like a white undershirt, or black when you're going to sweat a lot? Wear like a blue or purple or something where it sticks out big time.
A light gray.
Light gray.
Listen, when you sweat the way I do, there's no hiding it. Okay. You know what? If anything, though, maybe what can happen if I just continue to be a sweaty mess on TV, that should get like a deodorant company to want to come in, right?
There we go.
It's good for the brand, dude. You're fine.
Can we get some NIL going or something? It's gonna be fun though, boys. It's gonna be fun.
Double D, you're the man. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you really like, we're gonna try to do more of these when it makes sense. What'd you think first in the weeds interview? I thought just talking ball. You sounded great.
I love it. I think it's great. I think what you guys do is great, and I always enjoy getting a chance to join you boys. Keep it up, man.
And if you really like this, you can show us a super thanks down this way, I think. But is it that way? I don't know. It's one of the two. It's one of the two ways.
I'm new to all this, so I don't know. I don't know the YouTube lingo. It's a subscribe button, right? Just
subscribe, like, turn on notifications, all of the stuff. All right, Double D, appreciate you. We'll see you next time right here on In the Weeds.